It's been just a little over 25 years now since Dogma has kind of existed in the world out in public. And I'm kind of wondering what it's like looking back at the movie now, like in 2025. Are you the kind of director who kind of constantly find yourself like rewatching your previous movies and like nitpicking at little details that you would change? Or are you more just like you look back at it and like, oh, that's such a good time. I'm so glad we put this out there for everyone to see.
I do. I'm the kind of director that never lets his old work die. Like Chris Nolan, rarely is he out there talking about following. Rarely is he out there talking about fucking Batman Begins. I mean, motherfucker ain't even out there talking about Oppenheimer anymore because he lives in the future and stuff. I'm the filmmaker that has been victory lapping his entire career forever. So my movies in my world never die. They're not like, oh, I haven't seen that in a while. Like having my own movie theater, I own Smog Castle Cinemas. Part of the way we keep the lights on is we fucking show Kevin Smith movies and charge more money because I'm there talking about it. So I get to interact with my old movies like all the time. They're never old movies in my world. You know what I'm saying? Like I revitalize them through either comics, like for example, the Quick Stops comics that I write for Secret Stash Press, Dark Horse Comics. Like there's one coming up that's all about Metatron and stuff. So I've been able to like keep the movies alive long after like their theatrical runs, long after their home video runs, because the movies are sometimes all set in the same View Askew universe and stuff. So I'm never too far from the flicks, to be honest with you. However, Dogma, we've shown it at Smod Castle a few times, but like generally speaking, it's not a movie that I engage with all that much since the movie came out. But for the last month, I've been on tour with it. So 20 cities, minimum 2 shows a night. And then we just got back from Cannes where we played it in the Cannes Classics section.
Sure.
So I've been living with my head up the ass of Dogma for the last month. And I'm so delighted that it holds up. Like going into the tour, I was like, oh man, this might be a cringe fest. This motherfucker was written in the 90s and directed in the 90s. But shy of seeing no cell phones and some pretty early CGI that's a little wonky at times, it plays current. Like it works. Like I'm not going to say it's timeless, but it oddly enough still fucking works. So it's been a joy to stand there with the movie for the last 2 months because it's aged incredibly well.
Sure. No, totally. And I totally agree. You mentioned comics, and that's something I wanted to ask you about too, because over at Coming Soon, we just recently did the preview for the one shot where Jay and Silent Bob are teaming up with Archie, and I'm so excited to read it. That seems so much fun. So can you just tell me a little bit kind of about that project and kind of continuing the Jay and Silent Bob story through that medium?
This honestly, and like no bullshit and no salesmanship, is one of my favorite things I've ever written in my entire life. I had no idea this was coming. There's a friend of mine, Jeremy, was like, hey man, I know this guy Jesse at Archie Comics. He wanted to talk to you about maybe doing a comic book. And I was like, oh, fucking Archie Comics? Like, in Chasing Amy, we have a whole run about Archie and Jughead and Mr. Weatherby and stuff like that. And Archie Comics have been part of the culture since before me. And, Dante, like being caught between Caitlin and Veronica, echoes Archie being caught between Betty and Veronica. So it's always been there. And so I spoke to this guy, Jesse, and he was like, how would you like to do like a crossover? Because I got Secret Stash Press at Dark Horse.
Sure.
So I was like, oh my Lord, absolutely. And honestly, we had a conversation. I got off the phone and I started writing it right away. And I wrote it in continuity with the movie. So it follows up on Clerks 3. Spoilers, Dante is dead. And so Randall hires this kid to work at Quick Stop, and it turns out to be Archie Andrews from Riverdale, who takes like a 2-hour drive every day to go to work. And Dante, since Dante's gone, Randall finds healing through Archie being there because Archie's like a young version of Dante and stuff like that. So he helps him get over his grief. And Jay and Silent Bob are deeply involved. They still own the weed store next door. And he has a daughter, Millie. And so Millie is age appropriate for the Archie gangs. They're all teenagers, and Randall, Jay, and Silent Bob, they're in their 50s. Right. So it allows us to like go to Riverdale to a Josie and the Pussycats concert. It is honestly one of my favorite fucking things I've ever written. And so much so that like I told Jesse, I was like, we got to do this once a year, man. Like Jay and Jughead is next. So I can't wait for people to read it. And when I remember he asked me, he's like, what style do you want him to draw it in? I was like, fucking house style. They got to look like Archie characters. So it comes out in July, and I absolutely fucking adore it. I can't wait for people to read it and see how like crazily well the two properties fit together. Now, I will say this: ever since I've announced this, it is crazy, and it shows you absolute comics ignorance and illiteracy. How many people are like, are Jay and Bob going to fuck Betty and Veronica? I'm like, they're teenagers.
No.
Like, no, that has nothing to do with the plot. They curse around the characters, and there's weed use and stuff, but there's nothing cringy and sex about it whatsoever.
Sure, that makes sense. I wouldn't have thought
Yeah,
about it, but
nobody wants to see that, but apparently a lot of people had thoughts about it.